speaking with Marty Dillon from Truscreen this morning on JustStocks. Marty, morning. Good to see you.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew.
Tell us a bit more about Truscreen and the uniqueness of your device and your technology.
Truscreen uses optical and electrical tissue measurements to screen for cervical cancer, which is, the third most common cancer among women in the world. And particularly a problem like 90% of the deaths there occur in developing countries, what used to be called low and middle income countries, where they don't have a great laboratory set up and they haven't got a screening infrastructure. Truscreen doesn't need a laboratory infrastructure, so you can start saving lives straight away because a device and a disposable can do the screening. You don't need pathology labs, you don't need DNA labs. So we can take it anywhere, anytime.
So what markets have you got a presence in currently?
There's about 20 markets where we're approved for sale, but the main ones, and in order, would be China, Vietnam, Mexico. Zimbabwe is an important one for us because we run government programs there. Russia, and I'm just trying, and I believe that the next one's coming on, Poland, Indonesia, we're just starting in, Saudi Arabia. So we're focusing on, like I said, on countries that have some income, but don't have the infrastructure.
And speaking of income, tell us a bit more about your revenue model.
Revenue models, it's a consumable model. So we have a device, we sell the device, but we really make the recurrent income from the disposable because every screening test on every woman needs a new disposable. So it's not dissimilar to having a Coca-Cola vending machine, except that we save lives, we don't cause sugar problems.
Well, as far as the full year 24 highlights, Marty, talk us through some of those numbers. How was the year for you?
The year is, we'll be releasing our interim results shortly, but it was close to as predicted in our briefings to the market at our fundraising, which, as you know, was successful, and we achieved a higher amount of raising than what we had targeted between both the raising and the placement. So we're fully placed for the year until we get a refreshment at our annual meeting. And that gives us a runway to be able to push into some markets where there's a massive opportunity for growth. And I think Vietnam is, out of all of them, will be the one that we'll focus on in parallel to China. Because in Vietnam, the government's just promulgated some changes. They have to be administratively worked through yet, but the legal changes have been promulgated. And that means that instead of having to wait, 12 months to 18 months for a hospital approval from the Central Ministry of Health, that each district office will be able to approve the purchase of our device. And there are, about 20 major hospitals in the immediate pipeline. And there's a larger pipeline that could see us into 100 hospitals, but that's not something that we'd forecast in the next year. But it gives you an idea that if it took off, Vietnam would be as big as China for us because it's so concentrated, you can get to it more efficiently. China's still the greatest opportunity. I mean, a country of that size where we already have a footprint, we have 100 devices in place being used, and we're going to keep building on that with focused growth in the right provinces.
And what's the competition like for you?
The competition is really not devices like us because there aren't any devices like us that are CE marked and have all the approvals we have globally. The competition really is around HPV DNA and liquid-based cytology or pap smear. But they have the drawback of not being real-time and of requiring a laboratory setup and an infrastructure of expert analysts and technicians. For example, cytologists for liquid-based cytology, or for HPV DNA, you need the lab technicians. Whereas, as I said, with ours, we don't need that infrastructure. A nurse or a doctor can start screening straight away.
I suppose importantly, Marty, for viewers listening this morning, why would you encourage them to take a look at Truscreen? What makes the business a compelling investment opportunity?
It's a combination of the size of the market, and which is, in financial terms, is the size of the opportunity. That's the financial side of it. But if you look at the human side of it, it's the lives that can be saved and the families that can be prevented from having that loss of mother and wife. But on the financial side, it is that it's such a large market opportunity. We continue to be the only multi-regulatory approved device of our type in the world, and the best. And that we've been working away at this, for 10 years. And it's been slow and it's been hard. But the medical game is slow sometimes, and it is hard sometimes for new technologies. But it's bearing fruit now. As I said, it's growing in China, where we've got these opportunities in Vietnam. We have government support in Zimbabwe. We're included in World Health Organization guidelines. We're included in the China Obs and Gynae Association guidelines and the Society for Cervical Colposcopy and Pathology. We're on the Ministry of Health list in Vietnam, co-for-priest for both private and public hospitals in Mexico. So all the hard work that's been done and all the pain that we've gone through, I think, is about to yield results. We are hoping we'll be revising budgets and forecasts before we do our interim results release, but it's our intention to be month-to-month cash flow positive by the end of our financial year, so March 2025.
Marty, great to speak this morning. Thanks for your time.
Andrew, it's a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you over here in Sydney.